Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Fringe Binge. Now, we're going to start from the beginning of this widely popular sci-fi series called Fringe that aired on 9/9/2008. That was the first pilot episode, which we'll be covering today on September 9th, 2008, which of course is a significant number. 99 is the virus code, isn't it? And if, in fact, the very first episode is all about a virus. Now, what is Fringe about? Well, Fringe is a science fiction series about paranormal science. It broke all kinds of records. And, of course, there was much disclosure. But weirdly, a lot of this disclosure only makes sense in the context of certain timelines, doesn't it? In this first episode, they aired, absolutely was supposed to be decoded right now, because as you're going to see, all of the elements of everything that we're dealing with right now appears in this first episode. Now, as we navigate through the series, we will interdisperse, different kinds of decodes and things like that. And also, some film decodes. It's not just going to be all Fringe for the next, 3 months. I know some people aren't into science fiction, but science fiction really is the disclosure. I mean, you're going to see Neuralink. You're going to see all kinds of stuff in this first episode that is happening right now, placing 2008 into 2024. So it's timely, definitely something that everyone should pay attention to, but I know we can get fatigue as we navigate into these TV series. I know that happened kind of with The Blacklist, even though I thought it was a great series. A lot of people dropped off because they just didn't want to see Blacklist anymore, but we went through the entire, I think it was 8 seasons of The Blacklist, which was also a great series, with a lot of disclosure of things that were happening at exactly the time that they were supposed to. Now, you're also going to see Trump clues in this Fringe first episode. Just to give you an idea, it typically takes me about 2 or 3 episodes of a TV series to do one single live show. This one, gosh, I could have actually broken up today's show into 2 shows because it was so packed in that first episode. So we're also going to interdisperse, different shows like Between the Headlines and stuff like that, Coffee Talk headlines, over the next several weeks. Now, let's get into this. Now, what's weird about this series, as I said, is that a lot of things that you're going to see today are happening right now in 2024, including the eclipse that is coming up in just a few short weeks. We're going to show you the first episode today that's happening now. Now, it begins with something just very strange. A man vomiting on a plane. Now, this had just happened, hadn't it? In the episode, the man is on a plane to Hamburg, Germany. Hamburg, Germany. He infects and kills all the passengers, including himself, as everyone screams in horror. And the same exact thing happened just a few weeks ago, one day before Super Bowl, where a man was on a plane to Germany, and he vomited liters of blood all over the passengers on the plane as the passengers screamed in horror. Almost the same exact scenario, yet the events are separated by 8 and 8 years. 16 years between this episode on 9/9 and the events that happened the day before the Super Bowl. To me, this is virus code. This is virus code for disease X. Let's take a look.
My friend, it is just an electrical storm.
I understand.
Leroy, get the stage!
So, in both the episode and real life, the passenger was traveling to Germany. Munich in real life and Hamburg in the episode. Now, many of you will recognize this character. This is Agent Broyles, and he played the lead investigator throughout the series. Well, he actually died last year on 3/11, also placing this episode in the current timeline. Now, what happens next is pretty odd, because the guy who you just saw die on the plane and infect everybody, he seems to appear outside the plane alive. Take a look.
Tarmac's closed. Nothing you have to worry about, sir.
All right.
Move along.
Do that.
Now, what happens next is that there is some twinning going on, isn't there? Because that guy was supposed to be on the plane, dead, but then he's outside. So we already have this twin aspect, which we've covered at length. It's always been about the Gemini twins. It's always been about the twin spirit, hasn't it? At this point, Agent Dunham shows up, and she meets Broyles, the lead detective. And at this point, she enters the plane. And inside, you see a moldy interior. It looks like mold. Let's take a look. Now, I want you to take note here at this hatch, because this image will show up throughout the episode, and we'll break all this down by the end of it. But you got to see the image show up here so you can understand what it is. This is, we'll call this the keyhole. But what it really is a phi symbol, P-H-I. And this is going to appear, and it's going to represent portals or transformation. So she goes inside, and it's kind of hard to see here because of the resolution, but basically all the interior walls look like they have mold growing, like black mold.
What kind of terrorism is this?
Now, at this point, they track the scientist who they believe made the bioweapon. They track him back to storage units, and they chase him through the storage units. And he ends up, of course, being the twin of the infected man on the plane. So the twin brother infected his own brother with this pathogen. And you're not going to believe this, because this is where we get our first fire and ice. Fire and ice. Remember, 2024 is the year of fire and ice. The eclipse comet coming up in a few weeks. Let's take a look.
John?
We got a runner in the back. Keep him alive. Here.
Fire and ice. Eclipse comet. Isn't it weird that we just decided to decode this at this point in history? A TV series, a specific episode from 8 and 8 years ago, which is a time travel number, and everything that's in this episode is happening now? That's pretty bizarre, isn't it? Now, the bioweapon seems to be stored in the storage facility in this freezing weather. Freezing temperature, just like the COVID vaccine, right? Now, at this point, Dunham survives the blast. But her partner, Scott, Agent Scott, he contracts a novel disease that turns him basically translucent blue. It basically turns him into ice, like an ice cube, like looking through an ice cube, blue ice.
We haven't been able to identify the substance that's affecting him here. We've put Agent Scott in a drug-induced coma. His body temperature has been lowered significantly. He's not contagious, but until we understand more, it's better not to introduce any additional contaminants. Agent Scott was exposed to some synthetic chemical compounds, work that was done in the labs you found.
Now, it's at precisely this point in the episode that we get our first X sighting, and there are many X sightings in the episode. In this case, it's two hands in the butterfly, a monarch butterfly, an X pattern, which again places this episode in 2024, not 2008, when it aired. Weird.
Frankenstein.
Then we get a railroad crossing with an X. Now typically this X would say railroad, but as you can see, Fringe was notorious for being able to CGI images into the episodes that looked relatively real, but if you look closely, you can see that they're not. One example of this is where they show you where a specific setting is, and it'll say the name of the building, but it looks like it's actually in the scene, but it's actually CGI'd in. And to me, this X has clearly been CGI'd over this. And where's the confirmation? Confirmation would be Essex County, Massachusetts. X. Notice the telephone lines as well, right? This is the electromagnetism aspect, the copper. Remember, the whole episode opened with the scene of electromagnetic interference on the plane during the infection in the breakout. Remember that? The plane incident.
Astral projection, invisibility, genetic mutation.
When you say fringe science, you mean pseudoscience.
I suppose. Things like mind control, teleportation, reanimation.
Whoa, excuse me for a sec. Reanimation. Really?
So, let me check in with you guys. We'll keep going with this. Unbelievable. It's happening right now. Now, at this point, they get Walter released from a psychiatric care facility. Walter Bishop, which is basically a brilliant scientist, and they convince him to help diagnose Agent Scott's odd condition. The man covered in blue ice packs, the man who looks like an ice cube. Watch this. As they take Walter out of prison or out of the psychiatric facility, there's the same keyhole that was in the airplane. The phi symbol. Again, I'll explain what the phi symbol means. We did a whole show on the phi symbol. Remember? PHI. Watch. There's it right there on the lock. The phi symbol. Same as the airplane. There's Agent Scott covered in blue ice packs. They really want you to see the blue, don't they? He's like an ice cube, an ice pack. Blue blood.
Dr. Bishop,
Optical coherence tomograph.
Now at this point, Walter Bishop gets his lab back. His main request is, hey, if I'm going to help this guy, you need to give me my old lab back. So he got out of the psychiatric facility. He got his lab back. And listen as Walter details his list of requests to restock his lab. Listen to this.
Dr. Bishop, I...
Optical coherence tomograph, a flesh study. 2,000 pounds of silicon and a 2-year-old Bossaurus.
A what?
A cow. Mature weight, 850 pounds. Internal fat average, 2.37.
He wants a cow.
Purebred, not crossbred.
Genetically, humans and cows are separated by only a couple lines of DNA. So it's an ethical test subject.
There you heard it. The first thing Bishop asked for is a cow with 237, which is we have determined is the number, a number of the beast. We covered that at length as well. Represents flesh. The ox, OX, the mark. And you heard him say that cows are genetically similar to humans. And so what cows represent is experimentation on humans, essentially. Now, vaca means cow in Spanish, and the word vaccine actually came from the word cow. So, you put the puzzle pieces together, and it reveals the truth about what the cow represents. It's us. We are the cows to them. But they couldn't put a human test subject, could they? So they show us the cow. Then they're going through the crime scene photos, and we get another X appearance that's not an accident. It's the seatbelt of the pilot. Forms an X on his chest. So here we are in the year of the crossing X eclipses. And it's appearing in a 2008 episode. There's more, though.
It all went up, everything. And the suspect who might have those answers got away, and John was the only one who saw his face.
I could help, yes.
So Walter Bishop offers to help identify the scientist, because only John saw his face. John Scott saw his face. What does Walter Bishop offer to help? Well, it sounds a lot like Neuralink. Listen to this discussion about how he's going to connect their brains.
If I had a precise inventory of what was in that storage facility when
We don't have it.
I posited in 1976 that it is possible to synchronize the fields of two distinct minds. The synaptic transfer system, the shared dream state.
What do you mean, shared dream state?
Human brain generates a quantifiable electric field to allow the sharing of information across the unconscious state. Like a string between two tin cans. Yeah. Of course, you'd have to have an electromagnetic probe placed in the base of your skull whilst immersed without clothing in the old tank.
So, Neuralink, right? A needle in the base of the skull and a deprivation chamber. Literally everything we've been covering, we've covered it, that trope many, many times in many, many different series. The needle in the back of the skull and a dark water deprivation tank. What that represents, the needle goes into the back of the brain. That's the Holy of Holies. It's the place in the back of the brain that has the image of Christ in it. So they're essentially stabbing Christ with the needle. And the dark water, the deprivation tank, is the dark water that we've talked about as well, which is the contaminant. It's the contaminant of consciousness. Now let's keep going here, because Astrid makes her appearance. She's a lab assistant in Walter's lab, and she pours salt in the deprivation chamber, and she says salt will make you float. Kind of sounds like Pennywise the clown, him saying you'll float too. Watch this.
Salt will make you float.
Now let's go back to this cow. The cow's name is, of course, gene, which of course connotates DNA. Remember, this was always about hybridization and messing with our genes.
Is it a cow?
Yeah, that's Jean.
Now, at this point, Dunham, the detective, agrees to undergo the drug cocktail, the needle in the base of the neck, and the deprivation chamber, so that she can link brains with her partner that is turned into blue ice. And watch as they insert the needle in the back of the neck, the holy of holies.
Believe me, I would know.
I feel normal working.
Yeah, because bootlegging smack in the basement is just the picture of normalcy. I gotcha.
Then into the deprivation chamber, the dark waters. We saw this in Stranger Things, same type of deprivation tank. We saw this in, gosh, what was it? Was this in the OA, I think? Deprivation chamber as well. Many, many deprivation chamber tropes out there.
I hope your guy is worth it.
And this will rip open your consciousness. In case you don't come back, I just wanted to say before we do this, there are so many things you'll lose in a place like that. You lose it, it's gone.
And at this point, this is where she links up with the blue man, which represents the demon twin spirit. And they confirm this in this graphic between scenes, which Fringe was popular for. They had these graphics in between here. And look at this. Twin apple seeds. Twin apple seeds. Just like in I Pet Goat 2, where the apple opens and the two seeds come out and spin about one another. You can't make this up, you guys. That almost looks like a comet or an eclipse in the lower corner there. What the heck?
John?
So Olivia goes under, and the first thing that she sees when she begins to mind link with the blue man is the Aleph symbol on a kayak. Watch this. You can't make this up. This is the Aleph symbol on the kayak. Now, what is this about? Let's break this down. She's in the dream state, mind linking with her agent partner. She sees the Aleph symbol in the same orientation as the eclipse that's coming up in a few weeks. Look at this. Look at this. It's even in the same orientation. Now, what is the Aleph symbol? The Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, but it also places a mark over America in the path of these eclipses. Here's the X eclipse. This is the one here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. That's happening in a few weeks. The other one happened in 2017. And this one, which we also documented, I think happened last year. And all along this route here, volcanoes erupted. All along here. Weird. Now, what does this mean? Great American Eclipse Crossing in McKenna, Illinois. The Aleph symbol. Well, the Aleph in the pagan is the alpha of Apollo, the alpha and the omega. But in the holy version, it's God is the alpha and the omega. And the Aleph is the first Hebrew letter, and the Tav is the last, which is an X. So both symbols are included in this mark across America in the shadows of the eclipses. What does it mean? Well, let me check in with you guys and I'll tell you what the Aleph on the kayak means.
That's my uncle's kayak.
On the kayak, it says Xeno. And I don't know what that is, but you see more X's here, confirming everything we just said. Let me check in with you guys. What do you guys think the kayak means? And I'll tell you what I think it means. Good morning, everybody. Think about what the word kayak is. Thomasina saw it. Vessel, Xeno, aka nose, or ones. IXXI, yes, the IXXI on the kayak. Okay, let me break this down for you guys. Yes, that is an IXXI, which is a 9 and an 11. But there's a little bit more to this. And this is kind of spooky. The word kayak is a portal word. In other words, you can spell kayak frontwards and backwards and it says the same words. It's a portal word. And a kayak from the sky looks like a Vesica Pisces. This is what a kayak looks from the sky, which of course the Vesica Pisces also represents an eclipse portal. That is an eclipse. So the kayak with the Aleph symbol on it is the portal to the mind in this dream vision that Dunham has. It's a portal to the mind. Now, watch this. Then we see the phi symbol again, this time on a frog. And we have another comet-like object, or light, or eclipse, whatever you want to call this, below this as well. And many of you will remember this symbol because we did an entire show on it. This is the layout of Trump's Mar-a-Lago. What do you mean, Casey? Mar-a-Lago's been there for 100 years. Yes, it has. But all this stuff in here was not there. And maybe the lady that made Mar-a-Lago was part of the bloodline of whatever. I think her name was Kellogg or something, if I remember correctly. And Trump just grabbed the baton and continued everything because that is a phi symbol. And I'll break that down a little bit more toward the end of the show. But what is the phi? Well, the phi is also the omega symbol. The phi and the omega symbol. Here's some images of it here. As you can see right here, here's all of the different ways that it can be written or drawn. As you can see, there's different variations, but all of them look like what we saw at Mar-a-Lago from the air. This is the phi symbol. There's also another symbol that relates to the phi symbol. Both can also represent omega. So now we have an alpha and omega appearing in one episode. The aleph or the alpha on the kayak and the omega, which is the kappa or phi symbol. It's the same symbol. And many of you guys will remember the decode we did on this letter. Because this letter, they actually call it a Q or a Latin Q. They also call it an omega symbol. And they also call it the eye of the needle, which is a portal. What do you need to open a portal? You need a lightning bolt, which is one variation of this image or this symbol. The lightning bolt. This is where the lightning bolt came from. It's always been about portals. Remember the electromagnetic activity on the airplane during the infection? Well, Trump was the 5G electromagnetic president, and he was the injection vaccine president. And now you're starting to finally see what's really going on here. Now at this point, Dunham, Agent Dunham, finally solves the identity of the perp's face during sedation, during when she went through that procedure. And she realizes that he is the twin brother of the original infected passenger. So this confirms this twin spirit aspect to all this, right? That we've been talking on and on about, this Gemini thing.
Hospitals.
Agent Dunham, take a look at...
Oh my God. This is him.
He was a passenger on flight
I
627.
don't understand.
Morgan Stieg was passenger number 108. His emergency contact, Richard Stieg.
You're telling me he has a twin?
I swear I have already endured.
So there you go. Gemini confirmed. Now, what are the odds that the very first episode we pull up is basically everything we've been talking about for about 5 years? Well, I think those odds are pretty slim, right? So here's the question. Who is Walter Bishop in the series? Who does he represent? Well, Rhea and I were talking about it, and we're like, this has to be Trump. Remember the airplane hatch fee symbol and the jail cell keyhole fee symbol? And now Trump's Mar-a-Lago, the fee symbol, as well as it also being a Q. The eye of the needle. And finally, Bishop was in a psychiatric facility for 17 years, which is also Q.
17 years. Please.
And Bishop was born in 1946 in the TV series, the same year as Trump. Anyway, the episode ends with they find out that the guy that they saved was actually the bad guy. Agent Dunham chases him down, and he dies flipping into a pile of blue barrels. So blue blood confirmed. Wow. So, in summary, we had kayak eclipse symbolism. We have rear brain injections in the Holy of Holies. We have a virus component. We have a man vomiting blood on an airplane. We have Neuralink, which is all happening now. We have twin spirits, which is all happening now. We have a Trump character and a dead main character, which was Broyles. Wow, pretty specific, right? Looks like they detected that we used some stuff, but it's all fair use. But, you know, it was very difficult to actually find the series to be able to screen record all this. And so that's pretty much it for today, you guys. Let's go into the chat for a bit. See what you guys are up to. Crazy, right? Just unbelievable. And I'll put a link to that Mar-a-Lago decode that we did with the fee symbol so you can get a more rounded, understanding of the fee symbol. But it is absolutely the eye of the needle. It's called. The fee symbol is the eye of the needle. And it's also the Q symbol, the kappa, which is also copper. Gosh, it's everything. It's everything. Now, we'll keep on with, that was just the first pilot episode, you guys. We'll keep on. We're going to try to get through all the seasons. I think there's like 8 seasons or something. We'll keep going as long as it makes sense. And like I said, we're going to interdisperse other shows as well, so we don't all get fatigued by it. We will do, some between the headlines, coffee talk, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, isn't it crazy how Trump pops up in all these decodes? He's a very important player. I mean, look what he was able to do. 5G, 6G, and beyond. That's your electromagnetic frequency. A brand new technology that was much different than 4G. Base stations everywhere. Magnitudes more electromagnetic frequency affecting us than the 4G technology. Massive amounts of copper. They went through and pulled all the copper coins out of circulation, because all coins have copper cores except for the penny, which has a copper skin on it. They told us there was a coin shortage, but really they were using that to build the base stations and the electric kingdom future. Do you see how everything I've been saying is the truth? I don't just make these things up. And then Biden takes the baton and starts building the electric kingdom with all the copper, which is necessary for these electrical systems. And now we're getting forced copper cars, electric cars. Not only did he do 5G, 6G, and beyond, he was the first injection president. So that happened. And the two components, the frequency and the injection, is what will cause what is going to come next. So there it is in a nutshell, you guys. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to try to screen another episode of Fringe today. This one was loaded. I don't know what the next episodes are going to hold, but we're on the case. I love each and every one of you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.